Welcome back to the coreross channel. Today we are busting Rainbow Six Siege and we are looking at the mid-season reinforcement patch for Velvet Shell. So the first myth is, Glaz's imaging sensor is more than thermal. So the actual description talks about it being a thermal visual, but the closest thing we actually get to a description is that the scope is now equipped with sophisticated imaging sensors. And I think this screenshot perfectly represents how this is not a thermal scope, because we are looking through a dense layer of smoke in order to see an enemy target who is definitely highlighted, but also we can see all the details in the room and they're the correct color. Like, we can make out what is wood and what is not. We can actually see all the details in that room very, very clearly. And also only enemies are highlighted. So I think that the friendlies have IFF tags that allow the scope to filter them out and only highlight enemies. And also, if it is using a kind of high-tech array of sensors, that might mean that it's intelligent enough that it could detect weapons. So for instance, the hostage could not be highlighted because it doesn't have a weapon. And of course your friendlies aren't highlighted because they have an IFF tag, and that means anyone without IFF tags who is armed is a hostile and is highlighted, and I think that makes perfect sense. Now of course that's theory based, but I think that definitely busts the theory that this is just a thermal scope. I think it might well have thermal components, but there is probably a lot more to it than just that. Glaz's imaging sensor will highlight dead enemies. So I've killed Mira, we've let some time pass, and we can see that she is still clearly highlighted. Now this is actually a bad thing for Glaz, because if Glaz is the only one left on the enemy team, you could hide in your teammates' bodies and it could actually make it very hard for Glaz to see, because he's going to think, oh, that guy's dead. Only enemies are highlighted by the imaging sensor. So we can see that the hostage here is not highlighted at all, and that's the same for teammates. So the sensor appears to be somewhat smart and only highlights enemies, so that is confirmed. Mute's jammer disrupts Glaz imaging sensor. So we know that Jackal with his heads up display can be very much completely screwed up to the point where you can't see anything by a mute jammer. That is not the case for Glaz. His sensor appears to be completely isolated and is not affected by a jammer, so that is busted. Glaz can see through all three of Smoke's canisters of gas, so even if you deploy all your canisters, Glaz will be able to see through your smoke as clear as day. So whenever he smokes, especially if Glaz actually throws a smoke into the room, you do not want to be in any kind of line of sight of that smoke, because you could get easily killed by it. And you can see it is extremely clear, easy to pick off those targets, so that is confirmed. Glaz can see through black mirrors. So as you can see here, we're attempting to see through a black mirror and we cannot. I think this actually would be a cool feature, even if you couldn't shoot back. It'd be kind of cool to know if someone's behind it. So that's busted, but I would love that to actually be part of the game. Hipfire in Glaz sniper will draw a circle. So this is a bug, but I found it so funny that I thought I'd include it because I couldn't believe that this was in the game. It's such a weird bug, but if you simply hipfire your sniper rifle, you will draw a perfect circle. It's pretty incredible, and I just included it because I was fascinated by this, so that is confirmed. Doc's new 140 overheal will save him from a headshot. So, headshot with 140 health? I'm afraid not, that's busted. The multiplier on headshots is massive. Elite uniforms change your hitbox. So this one is bound to be quite controversial. So we are looking at Twitch right now, and we are kind of working out where her hitbox is, and it pretty much matches up exactly with her model. Now there is exceptions. There is parts of her model that are not included in the hitbox. And then we have the Elite Twitch. Now what I want to point out is that they are extremely similar when it actually comes to their shape. Like for instance, the pouches, the things that protrude from the model are almost exactly the same in both models. It's like they deliberately try and make it extremely similar. Even with, say, Rook, for instance, who does look considerably different, he still has a very similar hitbox. And the biggest difference we have with Twitch is the head hitbox. Now, of course, that is kind of the major thing because headshots are incredibly powerful in Rainbow Six Siege. And of course, the balaclava on Twitch gives her a very small hitbox for the head. There's nothing poking out. It's not like Blitz with his giant earmuffs. Instead, you have a very slim head hitbox. Whereas with the Elite, you have hair and you have a hat. So as you can see here, we're tracing out the hitbox of the Elite Operator uniform for Twitch, and it is matching up pretty much perfectly to the actual model. Anything that sticks out on either of the uniforms is the same. Like the pouches are in the same place, the straps are in the same place. There's a lot of similarity that very much keep those hitboxes similar. And we can see that when we look at the actual hair, the hair is not included in the hitbox. We can also see that the hat as well is not included in the hitbox. So the actual head hitbox appears to be very, very similar. The big difference comes in visibility. Twitch has a very dark uniform by default and a very slim head hitbox that makes her harder to see than the Elite version. The Elite version has a more visible head because it is larger, but the actual hitbox is not any larger. So I would say you definitely get a tactical advantage by not having the Elite uniform. Now we can see here that they really do look like they've gone to pains to actually keep the uniforms quite similar, especially when it comes to that neck armor. It's almost got exactly the same profile. They could have got rid of that entirely on the Elite one, especially because that is not part of the hitbox in either model. So it could be that it's just there to kind of keep the profile very similar. And that means that I'm going to come to the conclusion that it's plausible that we could get an Elite uniform that does have quite a considerable difference in hitbox. But for the moment, I think they're deliberately making both hitboxes be very, very similar. So guys, thank you very much for watching. I will catch you next time.